This Coach Williz on here once again, y'all. Be easy. The second house rule is be the example, man. We represent the brand all the time, no matter what. You got to be the example. No matter what comes up, no matter what happens, man, you have to be the example. You see what I'm saying? It's not fun being the example because sometimes the example has to bite the bullet. It's not fun being the example because sometimes the example has to let others go along first. It's not fun being the example because the example isn't always glorified. You know what I'm saying? The example is not always the one that people pay attention to. It's not always the case. But no matter what, you got to understand that people are looking at you. Whether they looking up to you, as people want to say, or whether they really like, oh, I'm trying to emulate all the stuff he's doing. It's not that we trying to go out here and be idols. But what we got to understand is that people are paying attention to us no matter what. Right? They paying attention to you no matter what you do. Imagine if you out in public, man, and you yelling and you screaming and you cussing and you doing all these other things, man. And somebody walks past you that don't even know you. Right, and they going through it, and they having some experience, who knows what, right? And they going through it too, and they see you expressing yourself that way, and they say, well, if other people's doing it, surely enough, I can do it. And don't try to sit there and act like that's like people, like nobody ever does that. Because I used to do it when I used to play ball, and I used to justify myself striking out compared off to what they was doing. Now, I'm not saying this is right, and I'm not saying you can control what other people are saying or thinking about you. But what you can do is try to be your best self every day that you earn the opportunity to. Yes, I understand some days we'll be down. Some days we'll be way over high. Some days, you know what I'm saying? Emotions go and they come, and spirits, they go high and spirits go low. That happens, right? But my teammates would strike out and I would be like, look, man, they struck out. What's so wrong about me striking out? I would try to justify myself off of what they did based on whether they did the right thing or they did the wrong thing. I would try to justify myself off of that. And that wasn't right. I shouldn't have done that. And I shouldn't, even though I never told them, but I shouldn't have been putting them in that situation to make them think that based on what they was doing, that they was making me seem right about what I was doing. But outside in the world, man, you know what I'm saying? I understand that, like in the Bible, it talks about being angry but sinning not. So I understand that you're going to be mad at sometimes. You're not always going to be happy. I can understand that. But you're not always going to be sad either, because it talks about there's a time to mourn and there's a time to dance. There's a season for all this stuff, right? There's a time to mourn and there's a time to dance. So I understand that. But even within that, I want you to understand when you go out there, man, and people are paying attention to you, people are looking at you and everything, you may not know what they're saying to you. You may not know the way that what they're thinking about you. But even though you got to understand that you are an example, and they may be looking at you for something, they may be like, okay, I see he's going through this. But the way he's handling that situation, the way he's building off that situation, the way he's growing off that situation that he's in, I understand that I can take this on. I can do something with that, and I can be able to elevate and motivate and grow off of that. And that's very important. You are the example, man. No matter what, somebody's paying attention to you. Somebody's looking to make sure to see if you're going to do the right thing, right? Even if I'm talking about my teammates and I'm like, man, I struck out, my teammates struck out. So what's so wrong about me striking out? Okay, what will make it wrong is if I struck out and I didn't go and choose to do the work to make sure that I didn't strike out again. And then I go see my teammate after the game is over, they go into the batting cages, or they going and taking BP on the field. You see what I'm saying? That would make it wrong if they getting extra reps in to make sure that they don't strike out again, but I strike out again. So like I said, even if you see that person out in public and they cussing and they yelling and everything, and I don't want you to go do this, and then they go and repent. But if that person is doing all that, then they go in and they fixing their wrongs, and they be like, look, man, I did get out of line. I shouldn't have been yelling. I should have been cussing. I shouldn't have been screaming out in public like that. That was wrong of me. I'm going to figure out a way that I don't do that again. But you don't go do that after you see that person do that, and you think it's okay for you to start going yelling and cussing and screaming out in the streets, but you don't go back and say, look, man, that was wrong. I shouldn't have let myself get to that point. We should try to be the best example that we can, man, no matter what. No matter what area it is. I understand, like, we gonna slip up, we human, we gonna fail. That stuff happens, and that's all right. But as long as you don't just keep allowing yourself to mess up and mess up and mess up and mess up and saying, eventually I'm gonna get to this, eventually I'm gonna get to this, instead you saying, look, I messed up in this area. Okay, I might have messed up again in this area, but how can I figure out to do it right? It's the same way. Success is the same way. Look, with personal development, it's the same way as success. So like I was talking about that card game. Me learning that new card game right there. You got to understand, me learning the new card game and me saying, look, I want to be the best that I can at this new card game that I just learned. And I'm going to fail and I'm going to lose and I'm going to lose and I'm going to lose. I'm going to keep playing people that's better than me and I'm going to keep losing. I'm going to keep losing. I'm going to keep losing to them. Right? But every single time I lose to them, I'm learning how to do something better. I'm learning new tricks. I'm learning new ways to improve upon what I'm doing. Every single time I play against these people that's better than me and these people that keep beating me, I'm learning how to do it better and better and better. It's the same way with me being the best person that I can be every single day. I may mess up in your face. I may say the wrong thing. I may not always do what you want me to do. I may mess up again and again and again on my own personal development journey, on my own spiritual journey. I may mess up numerous times, but it's not about living in the mess up. It's about taking those mess ups, cleaning them up, and making sure that I don't get put back into the same area that I was before. It does me no good if I see that puddle right there and knowing I got these brand new shoes on, and if I step in that puddle, it's going to mess up my shoes when I see that puddle right on the head. Now, if it was the first time and I was looking up and I didn't know that puddle was there and I stepped into it, and I said, oh, that messed up my shoes. Let me not do that again. And then the next time I see that puddle on the ground this time and I choose to step in it again. Now that's my fault on that end. Instead of saying, look, I messed up this one time. Let me not try to mess up again. Even if I mess up this second time, let me not try to mess up again. Because that second time I may come around and I may get my foot halfway in the puddle. And I may get, just the bottom part of my shoes dirty. And maybe like, oh, forgot that puddle was there. And that time I just step over it. Then the next time I almost step in the puddle. Like my foot is right over the puddle. And I pull it back right before I step into it, be like, boom, that puddle is there. And then the next time after that, I'm walking around the puddle. Then after that, I'm being the example. And hey, that puddle is right there. Don't step in that puddle. I'm being the example now. Don't step in that puddle. Move out the way. That puddle is right there. I know you got them new shoes on. Don't step in that puddle, because I'm trying to be the example to you that I may not have had in my life. Or I may have had that example in my life, but I didn't pay attention to it. And now I'm trying to keep you from righting my wrongs. I'm trying to keep you from righting my own wrongs. I'm trying to make sure that you do better than what I did. I'm trying to be the example, and I'm trying to lead and be that real progression that we need to make sure that we all going in the right way. That's very important, man. Be the example. Stop waiting for somebody else to answer all the problems out here. You go figure out what that problem is and figure out how you can solve that problem. And that's how businesses start. That's how entrepreneurs are made, right? That's how scholars are made, right? That's how people are made that do these great things. That's how activists are made and leaders are made. And that's how these people are made, because they found out what a problem was and they figured out how they can solve the problem. That's how we do it, man. That's how spiritual warriors are made. Where's the problem? Instead of me just being in the army and running into everything, let me go be an actual warrior and step back, figure out where the threat is coming from, and figure out how I can go directly at that threat instead of just running with my head down and getting myself caught up into a fire.